Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for coming today. Today we're going to talk about warm season vegetable garden. How many of you have planted vegetables before, done warm season? Oh, good. Yeah, a good amount of you. Good. Great. So I'm going to give you a real quick MG spiel, just so that we know, so you know who we are and what we offer. So Master Gardeners are with University of California, and we are trained to extend research-based information to you, the home gardener, on all things horticulture, pest management, sustainable gardening practices, all across Santa Clara County. How we do that is we have a lot of different help available to you. We have demo gardens all around the areas. We have one in Palo Alto, San Jose. You can look at them on our website. We do library talks just like this one at libraries all across Santa Clara County. So you can check out our tips and events. On the right-hand side there, we have tips and events newsletter. How many people are signed up for tips and events? Oh, no. You need to sign up. So all you do is go to our website, which is right there, MG Santa Clara, UCANR.edu, and look for something that says subscribe to tips and events. Click on that and just give us your email. You don't have to put your name, anything, just your email is fine. And we will send it to you once a month at the end of the month for the following month. So at the end of May, you'll get information about all the places we are in June so that you can come to talks like this or visit us at an event, or if we have something else going on, it'll be on there. So that's super helpful. We do community events. You can reach out if you have a community event you want us at. You can reach out on our website for that as well. We do field trips at Marshall Cottle. We have adult education with Campbell Community Center. Those are wonderful classes, 3, 4, or 5 week long classes on everything about vegetables or sustainable gardening, all sorts of different topics. We do plant sales twice a year. Did anybody go to Spring Garden Fair? No. Okay. So that's 2 things now you guys have on your homework list. So next year, and actually this October, we will have Fall Garden Fair. At Fall Garden Fair, in October, we will sell plants that are related to that fall or winter season. At Spring Garden Fair, we sell plants for spring garden, and we have lots of educational opportunities. We have short talks all throughout the day. We have demos in the gardens, lots of fun stuff. So mark your calendars, watch our website for both of those sales. You can get information on our website at that URL. We have a wonderful website that's very well maintained. A lot of our master gardeners were web people before they became master gardeners, so we have a beautiful website because of that. We have a help desk. Note that number. You can call us or you can email us from our website. If you have a problem in your garden, plant that's not doing well, an insect you can't identify, something going on you need to talk to us about, you're welcome to call our help desk. You will get voicemail. They will call you back within 24 to 48 hours, I believe. You can also email us from the website. So it'll be something like get advice, and you click that, fill out a form, and then we'll email you information. Talked about tips and events newsletter. We have an online plant clinic. Too bad it's tonight. I was actually going to go to it, but I had to do this talk instead. It's normally the second Tuesday of the month, 7 to 8:30, I believe. You can also find the information for that Zoom URL. It's via Zoom on our website as well. We do virtual workshops, and we are all over social media. Please like us on Facebook, visit us on Instagram. We give a lot of great information and tips all the time that will show up in your feed and will be a welcome break from other things you might see on your feed, because it'll be about plants, and that's always good. Okay. Oh, apologies. We already did Spring Garden Fair, but this is what it was. It was April 11th, and it was a lot of fun. So next year, plan on coming. It's always usually the second Saturday in April, I should say. Okay, so we are going to talk about warm season vegetables and all of these different things tonight. This is our agenda. So the characteristics of them, when to plant them out, timing, how to choose plants, hardening them off, planting them, what kind of water, how much watering, soil, fertilizer, all that. And then we'll go through an actual list of all the summer plants that are good at this time of year. So first off, when we talk about warm season vegetables, they're vegetables that require warmth to germinate. So in the cool season, we grow things like lettuce and carrots and beets and chard. Those things don't mind those cold temperatures. They can handle it. but warm season vegetables need at least 55 to 70 degrees to germinate. If you're a pepper, which we have over here, when we grow peppers, we have to put them on heat mats. They like to be about 85 degrees. I had mine up to 93 this year, and they jumped out of the soil in about 4 days. Probably one of the fastest germinations I've seen. You can go too high, but they really like that warmth because those are the places that they're from, and they're meant to grow in warm climates. And so when you give them those opportunities, then they will germinate quickly for you. They require long hours of sunlight, 6 to 8 hours a day. If you think about you go to work in the morning and it's still sunny in that spot when you come home, it's a long time. 8 hours is best. The more sun you give these warm season plants, the better they're going to produce. If you give them less, they will struggle and they may not have as good as a crop as you would like. For warm season vegetables, fruit is the object of the harvest. So think about a tomato or a pepper or a cucumber. In the fall, we think more about things like lettuce. So it's leaves, spinach, chard, some root vegetables. But in the summertime, it's fruit. And a vegetable is really a fruit. And warm season vegetables are easily killed by frost. Now, sometimes your tomato will overwinter, sometimes a pepper will overwinter. Every now and again, if they're sheltered up against a house, they'll tolerate it. But they really do best in warm season. And while you can keep them alive, they may not really survive that well. I've overwintered stuff in my garage in a heat tent over the winter and then had peppers as soon as I was able to put them out, which is really nice. But the ones that I overwinter, they take a few weeks to recover from being cold all winter, but sometimes they will. But mostly for us, we grow them as annuals in the summer. Okay. Site selection is super important. Like I said, 6 to 8 hours of sun. That's a long time. And when you have a house or your neighbor's house or your neighbor's tree, something shading as the day goes by, that can really limit it. So what you want to find and what you want to do is orient your beds or your planters facing south so that you get the maximum amount of sun crossing that path during the day. If you are growing things that grow tall, notice how we have like a kind of a, what's that called? A what? Yeah, it's like that tripod, but it's like the, cute thing there. Trellis, if we grow things up that, whatever's on the back side of it isn't now in the shade. So when I grow things like that one's in a circle, they probably have a lot of sun in that garden at that time, so they probably are okay. But in my yard, I put all those at the north end of my bed. So all my beds face south, and whatever I have something that's growing tall, I put that at the north end so that it's not shading something behind it. Because even that shading for part of the day is taking away their sunlight. You can grow in bed, in ground, or in raised beds like we show here. You can also grow in containers. I grow a lot of peppers in containers. They do really well. Tomatoes also do great. Lots of things do well in containers. These are showing some grow bags, some big wooden pots. Depending on the plant, depends on how big you need that container to be. If you're growing a tomato that gets 6 to 8 feet tall, you need a really big container under it, not only to give it enough root space, but to keep that tall plant from toppling over and the weight of the fruit from bringing that plant over too. So if you're growing things like peppers that are a little bit smaller, or eggplants, the container doesn't have to be as big. So keep that in mind when you're growing those items. You always want to mulch for healthy soil and plants. So adding a layer of 3 to 4 inches of mulch will protect your plants from the excessive heat. It'll keep your soil moisture better. It will keep different seeds from germinating because they're blocked from the sun. You always want to keep your mulch about 6 inches away from your actual plant so that you don't choke off the stem of it in the ground. But this one is using straw. I think that one over there is also using some rice hulls or something like that, or straw. You can use bark, you can use grass clippings, you can use all sorts of different things. As far as when to plant out, so when we're talking about warm season vegetables, we have to consider frost. So this year we had kind of a really strange March, right? We had 2 or 3 weeks where it felt like summer. And then all of a sudden we had the depths of winter again. We had rain, we had cold. So our advice generally is to wait until the daytime is at least 65 to 70 degrees for a good amount of time. And at night, you're 50 to 55 degrees at night. We had that for a little while in March, and then it got really cold, and luckily I planted all my stuff early because it was ready and I was tired of waiting, and luckily they're okay, but sometimes it can really stunt your plants when they get cold. Our average last frost date for Santa Clara County is March 15th. So that's an average. Every year is a little bit different. I personally had no frost at my house this year. Do you guys have frost? Frost? Nope. Anybody else have frost at your house this year? Yeah, some years we'll get a touch of it below 30 degrees, some years not. Usually if it's under 30, that's going to kill your plants off for sure. So wait till that soil has warmed out before you plant out. We have our spring garden market in April, mid-April, because that's a great time of year to start planting. So late April, mid to late April, May, now is a great time to plant. We should be pretty good. We're finally in the 70s and 80s during the day, so I hope we're good now. You want to wait to plant the plant out until they're of sufficient size. So these are both great sizes over here. If they're too small, they're going to struggle. So you want to make sure they're a good size. And I want to show you the plant chart. So did everybody grab handouts? Great. All right, so this handout was created by Master Gardener specifically for Santa Clara County. And the way that it works is it lists all plants, all vegetables, alphabetically, whether they're cold season or warm season. So you have to do a little bit of work in figuring out when they should be planted, but that's all marked out for you in the colors. So this covers whether you're transplanting a small plant like those, or if you're direct seeding. The one with the little spots is like direct seeding. And then on the far right, it says from seed to transplant. That'll tell you how long it'll take to get from a seed to the proper size to plant it out. You'll notice some things are 3 weeks, some things are 12 weeks. So you really need to pay attention to that if you want to get into growing your own stuff from seed. So let's look at, what's a good one? I'm gonna look for like peppers or tomatoes. Let's see, back page. Oh, wow, yeah. So peppers, if you check on the back page, notice they say to transplant only. So what did I say earlier about peppers is why it would be really hard to direct seed them. They need it to be really hot. They need the soil to be 75 to 85 degrees. That's really hard to get, and it's really hard to get enough of it and long enough and overnight. Like when we do it, we have heat mats and lights 24 hours a day to guarantee they will germinate. They are very tough. So for peppers, it shows April is a little bit hazy, and then it shows May and July are great months. I'm sorry, May and June are great months to transplant out pepper plants, okay? And notice on the right, it says it takes about 8 weeks to get them from seed to transplant side. So if I want to plant peppers on May 15th, when did I have to seed them by? I know I'm making you guys think after work. March 15th, right? March 15th, April 15th, May 15th. So it's basically 2 months. So my problem every year is I get too excited and I seed out in like the end of January and my stuff is ready at the end of March. Because I always think they're going to fail, but they never fail. So that's one of them. Let's look at one. And then let's see. How about, let's see. I'm looking for one that's kind of got a good range on it. Lettuce, probably beans. Let's do beans on the front page. So beans can be transplanted April through June because the ground is warm enough. Now, why do you think you can't transplant them January through March? Too cold, exactly. And why can't we plant them in July through December? So July, August, September, it's too hot. You could do it, but a lot of times the plants will just kind of go, it's too hot, and they'll kind of bolt and get upset. So they really want that kind of sweet spot. If you're direct seeding beans, you would have to wait till May or June to make sure that that soil temperature is warm enough. And you could maybe go July. The other thing is if you get too far out into the summer, now you're wasting harvest time, right? That's why we try and get stuff in by about mid-April. So by May, June, you're starting to harvest things. And in Santa Clara County, we can harvest through October, sometimes November, because we have such a long summer, okay? So that's how you use this chart. It's fairly simple. So if you're looking for things that you can transplant now, it's super easy. Go to May and look down the May list and you'll see what you can do. You'll see things that you could seed and you'll see things that you could transplant. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're perennial.
So when's the best time to, because I have a plant.
Oh, she gave you a plant? Nice. Yeah, I mean, if you have it now, I'd go ahead and plant it. Typically, I've seen artichokes in the Bay Area. Usually, they'll have, like you said, a spring set of chokes, which chokes are basically flowers. The actual artichokes are actually flowers. They're just before they open. And then it will also, usually then you'll cut it back and it'll kind of revigorate in kind of like October, November timeframe. Yeah, if you buy them, I would normally buy them in the fall so that they can bloom up in the spring. That's how I would normally do it. But they are perennials. I don't know, do you guys grow artichokes? They're too big for my yard, so I don't grow them. Do you? Do you keep them all year? Or do they last?
I think they kind of die back and then they come back.
Yeah, and then they come back. That's my experience, yeah. So you could try it now, see if maybe they'll set a few. If not, they make it look kind of cruddy. You'd probably cut it off low, mulch it, just let it wait, and see if it reinvigorates again when the rains.
It will. It will.
Is yours? Nice.
Yeah, I actually cut it off. I thought it was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, oh no, did they get super mad?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're a thistle, right? They look like a giant thistle. And so, yeah, some people don't know that they're real. My mom came from Wisconsin and my dad came from Indiana. And when they moved out here in the mid 50s, somebody introduced an artichoke to them and they were like, what the heck is that? They had no idea. And then as soon as this, like a friend of my mom's taught her how to steam them and make them, then she was sold. That was it. We grew them, we ate them. So I've had them my whole life, but there are people like, what are artichokes? Why do you eat that? How do you eat that? Yeah, every culture is a little different. It's kind of cool.
Laura,
Uh-huh.
so everyone that is transplant,
Uh-huh.
like basil, it has the same
Uh-huh. Yeah, so
listing as peppers. You have to have, if you wanted to seed them, you have to have really hot.
No. So peppers and eggplants are pretty specific. Basil will, I have a whole seeding talk, honestly, that I do. It's like an hour and a half long. Each plant has its optimum temperature for germination. For peppers, it happens to be about 75 to 85 degrees. For basil, it could do 60 to 70 degrees. It'll be fine. Lettuce can go all the way down to 40 degrees and up to 60 degrees. So every plant has its optimum temperature to germinate it, and you need to look it up or attend a talk. I usually do them early, like February timeframe, January, February, because that way it prepares you. But look for a seed starting talk if you're interested in more on that. Like I said, it's a whole thing. Starting seeds is kind of a deal. Things like beans are okay.
And you start yours like under the lights.
I like success, so my seeds are on heat and on light. Very sheltered in the most beautiful environment available in my garage. And they do great. I like to control them completely. The only thing I seed outside really is like lettuce or radish or carrots, things like that in the fall. Just because when you're seeding something, a lot of the plants can take 2 to 3 weeks. Like some peppers take 3 to 4 weeks to germinate. The whole time they're doing that, they have to be warm and moist, perfectly warm and moist. And then the minute they germinate, they have to be under light, and it has to be really good light. So that's why I kind of control my environment really well. And for Master Gardeners, when we sell peppers, we actually send them home. They're the one plant that they seed at our facility in San Jose, and then they send home the pots of seeds with people like me. I had 40 pots of peppers this year, and we put them on heat and light until they get big enough, and then they up pot them, and then they go into our big growing facility.
Is it 24 hours, right?
You can do 24. I do 24, and they grow really nicely that way. They need at least 12.
Okay.
Yeah, at least 12.
So
Yeah.
you wouldn't recommend seeding peppers now?
It's too late, right? So it's 8 weeks. You could seed them now, but they won't be ready for 8 weeks to go in the ground. That's 2 months. So now you're talking July, when you could just go to the store and buy, or hopefully win one tonight, and buy a pepper for $3 or $4. Yeah. Yeah, some things are worthwhile. Like if you look at that list, like beans. Beans are great to put in the ground now. They grow really well. You could grow those easily on a trellis or a bush bean. There's certain things that make sense, and then other things, if it takes a long time to germinate, I would just purchase them at this point. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I have one more question.
Sure.
I see lemons on this.
Yeah, so this is more annual vegetables. Lemons is a perennial tree. Yeah, yeah. So you could purchase a tree, put it in a good sized container. Yeah. And you do that any time of year. Yep. All right, great. I'm going to move on to this, otherwise I'll run out of time, but thanks you guys. This is also online. This URL will take you to it online. So if any of your friends ever need it, that's where it is. When you want to choose things to grow, the number one thing is grow what you're going to eat. Seems obvious, but sometimes we grow things that don't really make sense to grow. If you're never going to eat it, why grow it? I used to grow rutabagas. I never ate them. I also didn't do really well. I don't know why. It's just something I wasn't used to. So grow what you can and grow what you will actually use. So there's been a lot of talk in the news about all the excess produce waste in the landfills. It's producing a lot of gas. It's really bad for our environment. So try not to be throwing all that stuff away that you could be eating, and you don't want to waste it. If you want to pick up seed packets, you can do that any time of year. They usually last a couple of years, 2 or 3 years. Like I said, I do a seed starting talk that's a full hour and a half, so I can't go into all of it, but all your seed packets will always have information you need on light, water, harvesting, how big they get, their fertilizing, whether they're warm season, cold season, all that. You could also just go to a nursery and buy a plant, or if you happen to be in the right timeline for our sales, you can come to us or any other nurseries and buy a good plant at the right time of year. I say that at the right time of the year. Be careful with some stores. Even nurseries will sell you stuff that's in the wrong season. Okay, I was doing a talk on warm season vegetables in February, which we do that sometimes so people can prepare. And I bought a pepper at a big box store in February. It was way too early, but I have lights and heat at home. So I put it in a container and I threw it in my garage and put it on heat and lights. And now it's, 4 feet tall because it's been growing since February in perfect conditions. Most people don't have that. So buy in the right season. Don't get fooled by some of these places trying to sell you something that's really out of season. They also do it the other direction. They sell you warm winter stuff in the summer too. So just get familiar with that chart, and you can always call us and ask. We'd love to take your calls. As far as watering, we all need a shirt in Master Gardener. When everybody says, how much do I water? We say, it depends. It depends on how it's planted, your soil, your air, the wind, the sun, everything. It depends on everything. But you all have the most amazing tool right on your body. What is it? It's your finger, right? So you can use a moisture meter. You have to pay for that though, and they don't work well in ground. But you can take your water, and when you have a pot or something that something's growing in, you can put your finger in it and determine if it's dry, moist, or wet. If it's dry, it needs to be watered. If it's moist, you're okay. Moist like a wrung out sponge. So picture you get a sponge, fill it with water, wring it out. It's not dripping, it's not soggy, it's not messy, just nice and moist. That's how you want your soil to be most of the time. If you can keep that, your plants will be very happy. In the summertime when you're planting, watch out for extreme sun and wind, so you may have to water more on those occasions. If you're in containers, you will have to water more than if you're in ground. So you will check it a lot. I think I have 27 pots of peppers this year. They grow on cement around my pool, which is hot, hot, hot. And I still put my finger in them to find out if they need to be watered. And I've been doing it for years. Some pots need it, some pots don't. Depends on the size, the weight, the material. So pay good attention to watering. It's super important. If they've already wilted, you're not too late. But if you constantly do that to your plant, it's just like us. If we aren't fed well and we aren't maintained well and we don't get our rest and our food and our water, we're not going to do well. Your plants are the same. You need to give them what they need, which is moisture, sun, and heat. If you're in ground, your soil is the same. You still need to make sure that it stays moist. You want to add compost to it every time you plant. Add some good quality compost. Either you make yourself or purchase somewhere to enrich it. Rotate your crops every year if you can. Even if you're in a small bed, just swap them. If I grew tomatoes here and peppers there, switch them out. Or if I, try and bring in some other things so that you don't keep wearing on your soil with the same plants over time. And adding compost will help enrich it too. Mulch to retain water, like we talked about in the other slide. If you're growing in containers, you want to grow in a nice quality potting soil. That is just one example. We're not selling that particular one. There's lots of potting soils out there. But pick something in a bag that says potting soil. Do not get garden soil. Don't get something that says mulch. Don't use just amendment or compost. You need a good quality potting soil when you're growing in a container. That plant is looking for everything it needs in that container. And if you don't give it to it, it's not going to be able to grow well for you. It must be well balanced to hold water, but also let it drain as well. If you're using containers, I usually lift mine up off the ground with like pot feet or bricks or something so that they can completely drain. You want the water to go all the way through every time you water so that you know that you got the whole root ball wet and that there's no water stuck at the bottom. And the old, I don't think I have it in this slide deck because I have a container gardening talk. I have a picture of the old wives' tale of putting pot shards or gravel or other things in the bottom of your container has been debunked many times now. Changing your material inside the container actually slows down the water from draining instead of making it better. So just go soil top to bottom. That's all you need. Okay. Yeah. And the reason for that is plant roots need water and air. So if you look at the chart on the side where it has the components of the soil, so half of it is soil solids, so it's sand, silt, or clay with a little bit of organic matter. That's where that compost comes in handy. And the other half is equal parts water and air. That's the balance you're looking for. And people are always surprised by that air amount. Why do you need so much air in your soil? And that's just to allow that your roots can reach out into that soil. If it's so compacted down that they can't move out and get what they need, then they're not going to do well. So you need a little more air than you probably thought. As far as fertilizer goes, if you buy a really good quality potting soil when you're starting out with a container gardening, you should be okay for a while. I tend to be on the lower fertilizing because if you're in a container, which I do a lot of, you can actually burn the roots on your plants by over fertilizing. You can also, if you give too much fertilizer, especially stuff high in nitrogen, you can push a lot of green leaves. I was talking to somebody else earlier about their tomato plant. If you get tomatoes that are just out, a plant that's growing tons of leaves but not a lot of fruit, if you're giving it a bunch of nitrogen, back off. It doesn't need it. They'll make their own leaves with their own stuff. They don't need a bunch of nitrogen. Peppers are the one, I think peppers and eggplants are really two of the vegetables that really need a lot of nitrogen and like it. So put them on a schedule, maybe every 4 to 6 weeks. Just a nice low number fertilizer. I think when we went up there, I have the Dr. Earth, I think it's a 555, so it's 5% phosphorus, potassium, and nitrogen. And that nitrogen is the first one that makes the green leaves. So you want to do just kind of a very light amount to start with and see how they do. I sometimes wait to see how my plants are doing. If they're bright and healthy and green and they're pushing out flowers and fruit, I leave them alone. If they start to get a little yellow, a little chlorotic, check the water, make sure you're watering okay. And if you feel like you are, you could add a little bit of fertilizer. Okay, but don't go too hog wild. In the fertilizer world, more is not better. More could kill your plant. So try and lean the other way to start. You could even go with a half dose. So every bag, whether you buy liquid or dry, whatever it is, the fertilizer has to be moist or wet for the plant to take it up through its system. So if it's a dry one, you have to water it in. And if you give it too much at once, you could burn it or even have a salt buildup in your soil. So you don't want either one of those to happen. All right, so now we kind of got through all the basics, just like good gardening practices. You can use all that stuff with anything. Now we're going to talk about the actual fruit that we really want to grow this summer. We're going to start with solanaceous, which is nightshade family. Did you know that peppers and tomatoes, the leaves are actually poisonous? And potatoes and eggplants, so don't eat them. It's kind of odd that the fruit is fine, but the fruit is fine, but the leaves are not. And somehow my chickens know that. When my chickens would get out and attack my tomato plants, they always ate the green tomatoes, ripe tomatoes, never touched the leaves. crazy.
But they would eat the tomato worms.
Oh, yes, they would. They love tomato worms. So tomatoes, there are literally hundreds of varieties of tomatoes. Don't ask me my favorite. I probably have 20. I usually go 15 to 20 a year. Most master gardeners tend to grow a lot of tomatoes a year as well. I haven't met a tomato I don't like. Some of them I love, some of them I like. They're very easy to grow. They're super hardy. They really just want full sun and decent soil. They will even tolerate going dry a little bit once they're bigger. Some people dry farm tomatoes. I haven't done that because I'm chicken, but you can. When you transplant them though, and I'm so glad that you guys brought a plant today, because as I told you, I've planted everything in my garden already because I was early this year. So when you plant a tomato, you actually want to bury it deep. So if I was planting this tomato, I would try and get it up to where my hand is. You can either take off these lower leaves or you can leave them. It doesn't matter. They'll compost naturally underground. But if you look at the sides of a tomato, on the stem, there's this, the fine, what they're called trichomes, but basically they're these fine hairs, and those hairs turn into roots. And as you know, tomatoes can get quite large. Like this one, is this determinate or indeterminate? It doesn't say, but I think it's indeterminate. It's a gold medal tomato, so it's the yellow one that's like classic size, right? Is it classic or the big one? Is it classic or beefsteak? I can't remember. But anyways, it grows big. So if I had it in a container here, you know, it would grow up and over my head and keep going because it's indeterminate. So you want to cage them, put them in a cage. It sounds weird, but to protect them and to make sure that they're supported as they grow. You want to have a large container if you're going to do a container for this one, at least 5 gallons, preferably 10. If it's in ground, that's fine too. But when I plant it, I'm going to plant it to here, as close as I can. If you can't dig a hole that deep, you can also lay them on their side, which sounds weird, but you can actually, and I did it with some of mine because they were too tall. So you can dig a trench, lay it down in the trench, and then just have the top of it sticking out, and it eventually will right itself. They know where the sun is. You've seen plants do that, right? Yeah. So it will go, oh, there's the sun, and all of this buried underground will grow roots. And that root system will provide a nice way for the plant to take up all the nutrients that they need because they're big plants. You want a nice solid root system, okay? The other thing is this one, I don't see, do we have any flowers on this one yet? I think we do. Almost, they're trying. Yeah, they're gonna be right there. So when it gets flowers, off, okay? You need to let it build a root system first. You don't want it making fruit already. It's not ready yet. It's still a baby. You got to take care of it, okay? So let it build a root system first. Take off any first flowers for either one that come, and then let it grow in ground for a while. For a tomato to have its best flavor, you want it to ripen on the vine. How many people love store-bought tomatoes? Why do we not like them? Because they were picked green. They were picked green and then they ripened on the counter because they're hard to transport. So when you pick your tomatoes, you want them to be the color they're supposed to be. Read that tag. If it's gold medal, they should be gold colored, right? They shouldn't be green anymore. And when you squeeze them, they should give just a little bit. So you can tell by that. If they're still rock hard, but the color is right, wait a little bit until they're better. Clip them off carefully when you harvest them, and they'll be fine. Also, don't put them in the refrigerator. It makes them mealy. Keep them on the counter face down, okay? Tomatoes are susceptible to russet mites, hornworms, we're gonna show you those, blossom end rot, and they can get fusarium and verticillium wilts if they're in ground, which is a bacteria. They come in all different sizes and shapes. There's a classic, which is kind of the medium smooth, like these. Beefsteak, the really big ones, they can grow 1 to 2 pounds a piece. They make really big plants and really big fruit. Cherry are those small ones, and then paste are like your typical Roma, like kind of like this, right? So lots of different ones. For containers, I would lean more towards paste. If you can find a determinate one, there's a couple of determinate where they say small paste tomatoes, cherry or classic. The beefsteak, you need a massive container because those fruits get so heavy and the plant gets so big, it could topple. So stick with the smaller ones if you're going with a container. Here's those words we talked about. So determinate means it's a tomato that stays about 4 feet or under. doesn't get super tall. It doesn't keep growing. So it'll flush out a bunch of fruit at once, sometimes twice, but then it'll kind of be done. Indeterminate, they grow 5 feet or more, and they will keep growing until it gets cold enough to stop them. I have a neighbor that has one in their front yard. It never stopped growing this winter because it just didn't get that cold. They need a cage to keep them upright and protect that fruit. And then they're semi-determinate. I haven't found one of these, but they're in between, and they could need a cage because they could get too big. Okay. Like I said, bury them deep. That's a picture of the trench. So the root ball is in her hand, and then the trench, and then at the end is just the plant sticking out. Space them about 24 inches apart. Transplant mid-April to June. This is a great time. And they will need cages, as we mentioned. Okay, and here's some from my garden. The ones on the right are Costelluto Firenze. They're a nice one. These are some different paste, some, what are those called? Brandy wines. Yeah. I grow a lot of tomatoes. Costoluto, oh, come on now. Hey, oh, how weird, I got a blank slide in here. Costoluto Genovese. The far right, they're a lobed tomato. They're really pretty. They look like little pumpkins. They're big. I mean, they're good size like this. There's one called Costoluto Genovese, and there's another one called Fiorentino, I think. They're both Italian tomatoes. Yeah. We sell them at, I think we sell Costoluto Genovese at the market. I've grown both at home. They grow really well. Super fun. There's so many tomatoes. This slide was growing, that's why. On the top, we have sun scald, and that's really just that hot western sun sometimes hitting the side of your plant. It's burned. It's just basically been burned. So you can make sure that your leaves are covering a little bit better, maybe adjust the plant a little bit. If you get it, it's not a disease. It's just like a sunburn. You just cut it off and you can eat it. Cracking is from uneven watering, as is end rot. If you have a habit of sometimes watering really heavily, sometimes not on a good schedule, you can cause your tomatoes to crack. The end rot is from calcium not being taken up properly by the fruit. So again, a nice even watering schedule, even a drip system works lovely so that you don't have disparities in how much you water. Okay, on to peppers. So peppers, as we talked about, need lots of heat to mature. They will all start green. No matter what color they end up, they all start green, and they develop to their intended color. They are harvested when they reach their full size. So I have developed a habit because so many peppers look alike when they're small. I actually laminate pictures of them and put them, I attach them to my cages. I put small cages on my peppers because I grow so many of them. Otherwise, I'm not sure, is it green? Is it red? How big should it be? If not, at least sometimes we have a chart written down. We numbered our peppers one year and then we had a chart just to figure out how big or small they were supposed to be and what color. If they will get the same thing as the tomatoes, they will get sun scald if they have too much direct exposure. I like to plant my peppers either 2 to a hole or 2 next to each other. So I do them in containers that are probably about 3 or 4 gallons. So they're about 10 inches across, 10 to 12 inches, about 12 inches deep, 2 in each pot so that all of the leaves can cover both plants and help prevent sun scald. They don't make a lot of leaves. You can tell by that plant compared to the tomato. They just don't make as much as a tomato does. So go plant them a couple to a hole or nearby each other so they can help protect each other. They're also susceptible to blossom end rot, just like we talked about. And same thing for planting out. Nights you want them even longer, warmer rather, 55 degrees, 75 during the day. You can go about 10 to 12 inches apart because they're not big plants. They don't get super wide. They could get 2 to 3 feet tall. And I like to use small tomato cages. The ones that they sell at the big box store that say tomato cages, those are great for peppers and eggplants. They're too small for tomatoes. Have you guys ever used one of those for a tomato and noticed how it just like crumples under the weight? Yeah. And these are some peppers that I've grown, a variety of different kinds. This is my husband's favorite. It's called chocolate habanero. This is regular habanero, but this one gets a dark chocolate brown when it's ready. Lots of other ones. There's some serranos in different colors. Remember with peppers, they don't develop their heat until they turn that color. So serrano is hot at green. Maybe it's about 10,000 to 20,000 Scoville units, but at red, it's more. will get hotter. Sometimes they get sweeter. Peppers also will get hotter if you dry them out a little bit, if you stress them just a touch, but be careful with that because they could start dropping fruit too. But if you like your peppers hot, play around, maybe have a couple of plants and maybe stress one a little bit and see if you can get your peppers even hotter. Depends on what you like. But, they range from no heat if they're a bell pepper to million Scoville units, which is insane. My hottest one is this chocolate habanero. It's about 500,000 Scoville. It's hot. I can eat it as long as it's cut with other things and cooked down into like a sauce. But yeah, it's hot. This is what sun scald looks like. Same thing. So the plant basically isn't providing enough leaves, so those get burnt. And then the end rot on the bottom, same thing.
Is it good to have a covering sometimes on top?
If you see it chronically, if you see it chronically, or you got really hot days, like we've got 100-degree days for some reason, or usually it's that it's that end of day hot afternoon sun that's like beating down on your plant that will cause that scald. So you could put up a small umbrella or something to protect them. Yeah, and you also need to, I don't know if I put that in here. I don't think I have in here. I need to put it in there. They need nitrogen because they're big nitrogen feeders. They just want nitrogen. So don't feed your tomatoes, give it to your peppers instead. Eggplant as well. They'll make more fruit and more leaves if you give them some nitrogen. Yep. Eggplant. Eggplants are beautiful plants. They have really pretty purple flowers, and they're all different sizes. They have white and purple and all different colors of eggplants and different sizes now. You want to harvest them when they're shiny. It's a fruit that's kind of unlike others. Like when they get that shine them like that one does, then you know that they're ready. Once they go past the shine, that's when they're setting those seeds, and then they get kind of a little bit different texture maybe you don't like and too many seeds. You want to cut them off of the plant. They have some spines right above. It's like they trick you. They have them right above the fruit, and you can't see them, and they're long and they hurt. So wear gloves and cut them off. And don't try and rip them off because it will break your plant. They're very strong. They can get flea beetles and Colorado potato beetles. I have not had that issue ever when I grow eggplants here rather. You plant them out when they're 55 degrees at night, same as the other ones, about 15 to 24 inches. They're not a super big plant. They're actually really decorative. Like you'd plant them outside and people would wonder what that plant is until they see the fruit. They're really pretty plants. The year I had them, I had a whole row of them. They kept going till November. And had I not wanted to plant something for the fall, winter, I could have left them for a while. They were just going gangbusters. They do great. All right, cucurbits. So cucurbit group includes pumpkins, squash, cucumbers, melons. All of those fall under cucurbit. These are some varieties from my yard at different times. These are all different pumpkins and gourds that they've grown, different watermelons on the right and above, and then lemon cucumbers and regular cucumbers as well. Lots of fun stuff. So we've heard of summer squash and winter squash. The difference between the two is summer squash is like zucchini, things with a soft skin. If I took my fingernail, it would leave a mark, right? And then it would bruise and have problems. If I did that to a pumpkin, it's got a hard skin on it and it'll last all winter. So that's the difference between summer and winter. The winter ones overwinter. They aren't grown in the winter. They're grown now, basically. Summer squash can take about 4 feet of space. They get big. Has anybody grown squash? Zucchinis? Any of them? Yeah, so they get really big plants. They also have very spiny leaves that give me a rash, so I always wear long gloves, and you have to kind of dive in and look for the fruit that's growing in there. I always make sure I try and pick them young, and I try and pick them every couple of days. Has anybody had a zucchini the size of a baseball bat? I have multiple times. They hide. I don't know what it is. They hide. They're the color of the leaves, and I'll pick that the next couple days, and you come back a week later, and it's this big. And they're amazing. So always make sure that you look for them often. Some of the summer squash are zucchini, crookneck, and patty pan. They are susceptible to powdery mildew. Usually you don't get powdery mildew until late in the season. I'll show you a picture, and you will always get it around September, early October, because that's just the time of year and because the plants are basically done by then. If you get it early, you're probably planting too close together and not enough sun, and don't water from above because the airborne fungus can attach to things when they're wet at night. So you don't want that. They have squash bugs, terrible little buggers, also called stink bugs. If you step on them, they smell terrible. Take a vacuum to them is one of the first defenses, is just vacuum them up and suffocate them and kill them. And then start getting all of their eggs off of the plant if you can. And also cucumber beetles are bad. Have you ever grown summer squash or gourds or pumpkins where you had a small fruit and it turned brown and fell off? No? I'll show you. So, actually I'll show you here first. So this is what it looks like. So it'll look like this, probably is like an acorn squash or something due to the shape. It'll have a little tiny baby plant. I had it a lot with my gourds one year. I must have had 100 gourds on this plant, and then they got brown and they fell off. And the reason it happens is squash have an unusual thing where they have a male flower and a female flower. We're going to talk a little bit of biology now. Okay, so as we all know, the male flower has the pollen, and the female flower has a young fruit in the back of it. Notice how you can actually see it right here. So you can always tell them apart. That's the ovary of the female fruit. And if the pollen from the male doesn't get to that female, it'll turn brown and fall off. Now, how do you think the pollen gets from this one to that one? Bees. Specifically squash bees. There's an actual big carpenter bee or bumblebee that will go, called a squash bee, that'll go from plant to plant, pick up pollen. It's not doing it on purpose. It's feeding, right? It's picking up nectar or whatever it needs. It'll get covered in pollen and go to the other flower and then pollinate it. And then bam, you'll have a small fruit. If you don't have enough of those visiting your garden, then you will have them turning brown and falling off. The other thing that can happen too is if you get female flowers before you get male flowers, then there's nothing to pollinate them. And then the other thing you get if you do restaurant work and you like to stuff those and you keep cutting them off your plant, then you don't have anything to pollinate those. So if you like stuffed squash blossoms, which were a really big thing for a few years, just leave enough to make sure you pollinate that plant. Now, there are some people that have a lot of time on their hands. I'm not one of them. They can go and take a paintbrush and pick up the pollen off of this guy and go tickle that one, tickle the girl, and then they'll get the fruit. If you have time, you're welcome to do that. You can also just take the flower off and kind of rub them around together. But that's why you end up with these little brown ones that fall off. So that's your little sex ed for the night related to plants. Don't tell anybody I told you. Oh no, I'm being recorded. Okay. Yeah, so that's the story, and that's for everything. Cucumbers, peppers, anything that has this two flower system. Doesn't happen with tomatoes and peppers because they have what's called a complete flower, so it's all in one, so it doesn't have to be pollinated that way. Also, one thing I don't mention in this talk that I should is plant flowers with your vegetables. You need bees. You need bees to come in and do work. If you don't give them something to feed on besides just the flowers from your vegetables, then they're not going to come. Also, don't use pesticides in your garden. It kills off everything, good and bad. So you don't want to get rid of your bees. You want more to come to help you with your veggies. And this is a picture here of powdery mildew. That's what it looks like. If it's starting early, like right after you plant or something, cut those leaves off and throw them in the trash. Don't even put them in compost because it can spread. If it's late in the season, don't worry about it. Your plant's done for anyways, because that's just what happens about late September. And pretty much your crop is done by then anyways. Here's some winter squash. These are ones that I've grown in my yard. These long, crazy ones are called trombolettas because they look like a trumpet. Some pumpkins, some gourds. I think that's a zucchini there. These are all grown, same thing, full sun, lots of water. They grow really easily from seed in the ground, or you can buy plants already. They are very large and rambly. They take off and run. So, and pumpkin plants, when you get the pumpkins on them, you'll get maybe 1 or 2 pumpkins per trailing vine, and it could go for 12 or 15 feet. So you have to have a lot of space for them to roam. It has to be really hot. I'm super lucky because my next door neighbor lets me plant in their yard. So all of my pumpkins go to their house because they have space that I don't have. leave the fruit on the vines until they're totally mature. So the vines will actually start to turn brown. Once you see that, then it's usually the pumpkin or whatever it is will turn the right color and it's ready to go. Harvest them in the fall. So pumpkins take, and all of these big ones take about 100 to 120 days. So you plant them in June, they're ready in October. It's a long quest of love for these plants. But when you get your own homegrown pumpkins, that is the best. Like that blue one over there, one year I had like 10 of those because they just took off and did really well. It's so exciting. When you don't have to go to the farmer's market and buy pumpkins for decorations, it's really cool. They are also amazingly delicious, so much better than a canned pumpkin or anything. They're so delicious. And they will hold all year. I just tossed some pumpkins I had from last year just because they were getting kicked around and kind of gross after this time. But as long as they don't get nicked or don't get an insect, they will last an entire year sitting in a nice cool spot. They don't have a lot of pests besides like squash things. They will get powdery mildew like we talked about. You want to do the same thing. You want to plant them out now, May to July, and harvest them regularly, especially the summer squash. 3 to 6 feet apart minimum. And just know that if they're a pumpkin or something like that, they're going to take off and run. Very large, rambling vines. Cucumbers are awesome in the garden. Taste so delicious. There's lots and lots of different varieties. You need to have some kind of a cage for them to climb on. You don't want the fruit in the ground because you'll get insects and things in it. So make sure you have something for it to climb on, some kind of a structure. They have tendrils, so as soon as you direct them, they will actually grab onto whatever you put them on and they'll stay. You want to put them on raised hills. They like good drainage. They also like it really warm. I'm finally waited this year until May to put mine in the ground because they get really mad when it's cold. So this is a great time to start them from seed. They come up really fast, about 2 to 3 weeks, and you can even plant them directly in the soil wherever you want them. I actually grow them in big containers as well. As long as I have something for them to climb on, they're fine. They need a lot of water, right? When you bite into a cucumber, it's mostly water. So you've got to give them water to make that fruit. And when they mature, they get that dark green if it's appropriate. Some of them have little bumps. There's a whole bunch of different varieties now where they've gotten rid of those little scratchy bumps and things like that if you don't like them. Armenian cucumbers are like this pale yellow. There's so many varieties. Try different ones and you'll see which one you really like. They have cucumber beetles sometimes. Again, powdery mildew because it's in that group. Did somebody have a question? Okay. No?
When the plant is done, like the season is over, do you just uproot?
Yeah. And if it's all powdery mildewed, I would, if you have a hot compost or if you have a neighborhood where they haul off your stuff to like a city compost, you can put it in theirs as long as you know it's going to a hot compost. If you have your own compost, I wouldn't put them in it. I would like bag them up and just toss them in the garbage or something because that powdery mildew could hang out in your compost and you could spread it again by accident the next year. Yeah, so good. Yeah, I wouldn't risk it because it's such a bummer if you get it early. Yeah. It depends on how hot your compost is. Same thing with seeds. Anytime of weeds, things like that, you put into your compost pile. If your compost pile isn't hot enough that it's steaming, those weed seeds will stay. And then when you spread your compost, you'll end up with weeds in your compost that are from your own. Yeah. So try and get it hot and steamy. Yeah. Attend that talk. You guys have a talk next month, right? On composting. Yeah. Composting's great. Beans are terrific. You can grow lots of different varieties of beans. They come in every color you could think of, white and yellow and purple and green. Some of them vine, so make sure you read the packet. They'll either be a vining bean or a bush bean. A bush bean makes a small bush, about 2 feet tall by about 2 feet wide at the most, and it flushes all its beans out at once. So it'll like bean, 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 bean. You'll pick everything, and it'll kind of be done. So what they recommend you do is succession plant. So if you like a particular bush bean, you could seed it in the ground even. They're really easy to grow from seed because the seeds are so big. Put it in the ground, let it grow, and then 2 weeks later, start another one. 2 weeks later, start another one. And so that as each plant finishes, you can keep harvesting beans. So if you're somebody that wants to can them or you just like to have fresh beans all the time, it's an easy way to keep them going all summer. If they're a vining bean, likely they will last all summer. But then they need something to trail up and they're going to go 6, 8, 10 feet tall. Okay, so you can go either way, but if you do a vining one, they will last probably most of the summer, but the bush beans don't. So it's the difference between them. The other thing is don't let them go to seed. So don't leave beans on the plant and let them go to brown, to dry out all the way, because then they've made their seed, they're done. You have to keep harvesting. In fact, with all vegetables, even flowers, you have to keep harvesting or the plant thinks it's done. The plant doesn't know that we want to eat its food. It just knows it wants to reproduce, right? Its whole job is to make seed. If you let it do that and you leave that on the plant and it thinks, okay, I'm done. I've made my tomatoes. They're still there. I've got seeds. I'm good. Then it's not going to keep producing. So make sure that you keep harvesting through the whole summer. Yeah. You can, if you do leave your beans on and your plant is dried, then you can use those for seeds for the next year, or you could use them like dry beans. And some beans are actually meant to be used as dry beans. If you want to just grow them as dry beans, just let the whole plant grow and then just let it die off naturally. And then you can pick them at the end. And the common area pest is aphids. Yeah. You want to plant them out now? This is a great time, May to July. Plant the seeds about 1 to 2 inches deep. They're big seeds. The rule is usually double the size of the seed deep. They're about 1 inch long, so they go 2 inches deep. And for bush beans, you want to go 3 to 4 inches apart. That seems really close to me. I would go a little bit farther, but maybe you cut off 3 to 4 inches. That seems close. This is not this page isn't my presentation. And then pole beans about 2 to 3 inches apart. I would say a little bit farther personally, but maybe it's to just assume you get more. These are aphids, just to show you a picture of aphids and what parasitized aphids look like. So a lot of these vegetables have this common enemy of the aphid. There are a lot of predators in your yard that will take care of aphids for you if you plant flowers and things that they like to hide in. The number one that you're all familiar with is lady beetles, right? Ladybugs are huge aphid killers. And they will come in and eat your aphids. I actually recently captured a video of one eating aphids on one of my plants. It was amazing. But they also have a larva that looks like a little alligator that's black and red, and it is even a bigger voracious eater of aphids. But the other thing that can come into your yard that you'll never see is what's called the parasitizing wasp. They are very, very small wasps. They're not the ones that you think of with the legs and chasing you. They're itty bitty tiny little wasps, and they come to the aphids and they they lay an egg in the backside of an aphid. You're dying over here. She's like dying. Are you getting all, she's getting like this. Ah! So they lay an egg in the aphid. The egg hatches. Now it's a little larva in there, and it eats out the inside of the aphid, and then it drills a perfect little hole when it becomes an adult, but drills a little hole and flies out. And you will never see them, except you will see this. So you'll see this parasitized aphid with the hole. See the hole in the backside? So if you see a bunch of aphids like this, and they can be any color. They could be white, green, black, red, orange, any color. Aphids come in all colors. They have no discrimination. They love every color. But they are the devil. And when they get parasitized, it's such a happy day because you'll see a brown one. You'll see a brown one, and if you get out a little jeweler's loupe or some good glasses and you look close, you'll see a little hole in the backside, and you'll go, "Ha! You got killed." Yeah, yeah.
Is the aphid dead?
Oh, it's dead. Oh, it's super dead. Yeah, yeah, it's super dead. Yeah, it's dead. And they just look like little mummies, and they kind of just like stay wherever they were. But if you like flick them, they'll just kind of go flying. So if you see that, it's amazing. I'm doing an IPM talk on May 23rd. I forget where I'm doing it. I'm doing it at some library. Look me up, but on our website. But I talk about it in an IPM talk. So just so you know, there's good guys out there, so don't spray pesticides, because when you spray pesticides, you kill off that parasitizing aphid that's doing this fight against these.
So the ladybug, it doesn't eat the foliage? It
No, just eats the aphids. No, they don't eat foliage. And it's actually the ladybug eats it, but it's its larva that even eats more. And there's a whole bunch of insects that do that. Yeah. Yeah, those ones eat your fruit and those ones are bad, but they're green. Yeah, green with white spots. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Oh, I didn't realize I had this on there. Yeah, so here's what you're talking about.
Yep.
There's that cucumber beetle. That's a bad guy. We don't like him. But this is our ladybug, and that's its larva. That's after its pupa. That's its egg. So actually, the order is this, this, that, that. All right. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. And they're wonderful. They're great guys. So you want to protect them. Give them some flowers to feed on, to hang out in, and make sure that you don't use pesticides because you'll kill them off and then they won't be fighting the big fight for you. Okay. So anybody have any other questions? Those are the main ones I'm covered. Any plants you're interested in I didn't cover? Oh, I'll start with you and then the gentleman behind you. Go ahead.
I just have a question back to the tomato.
Uh-huh.
Plant it down at the diagonal.
On its side.
Rises up and you're pinching flowers. How large do you let it get? You stop pinching.
I would, yeah. I mean, I've heard either at least do the first ones, sometimes the second set as well. Me personally, I like tomatoes pretty soon. So once it gets to a good size, I would stop pinching it. Yeah, foot or two. You could wait, but I don't know. Do you guys wait longer? Are you better?
I don't pinch them.
You don't pitch them off?
No.
Do you, Sandy?
I have rats. They eat.
Oh, rats. Yeah. Yeah, but you can. I have heard the advice is actually to pinch them twice, to take the flowers off twice. That would build a really good root system. Plants are different. Like some of mine are already like really big and are flowering out, so they're plenty good size. I think the gentleman had a question. Was that yours? Oh, perfect. Okay. So that's a good question. And actually, I have to move a slide from one of my other ones. So ladybugs and a lot of the beneficial insects like umbral-shaped flowers, things that are shaped like an umbrella. So things like ami or dill, fennel, scabiosa, zinnias, things they can land on easily and feed on nectar easily. But honestly, some of them even like sweet alyssum. Or, there's all sorts of plants that different insects will hide in and live in if you provide them. So our advice is just grow flowers. Sunflowers are also really good for the bees. If you can see, these are all the flowers that I grow in. This is from my neighbor's yard, most of the stuff. So these are all zinnias, cosmos, straw flowers, ageratum, and sunflowers. And the bees just go wild for all of them. There's a plant called blue basil that a lot of the bees really love too. So yeah, blue basil. God, they love that blue basil. And then my neighbor had, what's the other one they were all over? Fennel and dill, where they have those really small flowers. A lot of the beneficial insects like those as well. But any flowers that are giving off pollen and something for them to hide in are good. Yeah? Oh, sorry. No, I'll come back to you.
You like, because our bees are in jungle, do you ever like set out a bee box and just leave it there?
I don't. Yeah. I think if you're going to do something like that, you need to be trained in it. Otherwise, you could just cause other problems. It's not as simple, I think, as setting out a box, although it was really simple for them when they moved into the siding of my house, which was a bummer. I had to have somebody come and gently remove them for me, which is kind of odd that they do that now and again. But yeah, I would take a bee course. There's a Santa Clara County Bee Guild, San Jose Bee Guild. I forget. We have a master gardener named Alan who is in one of the bee guilds. If you want to take classes, they have classes on how to do proper beekeeping. Yeah. It's either Santa Clara County Bee Guild or San Jose Bee Guild. It's one of those. Yeah. But if you were going to do that, I would make sure that it's set up well because you could cause more harm than good. They have some mites and things that have been attacking them. So if you don't set up things right, keep it clean, you could cause problems. I don't do it because I have a pool. I already feel bad enough that they drown in my pool. I try and float things, and I have pond that has a place for them to land. I have fountains that have places for them to land. I still get one or two in my pool, so I feel bad. So I don't keep bees because of that. I don't want them to have a problem. But, you had a question?
I do
Marigolds?
Yeah.
Yeah, great flowers.
And is it beneficial to keep bugs away or to bring in?
I don't know if there's true evidence on it keeping bugs away. They have a scent for sure. I've seen lots of bees on my marigolds. I love marigolds. Yeah, I always have marigolds, and they come in all different sizes and shapes as well. I've been trying to grow those giant, like 3 foot tall ones that they use for the Dia de los Muertos. That's my goal lately. I keep trying every year, but I don't get it quite right. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen yet a presentation on companion planting or non-companion planting, like what things go well together or what things don't go well together. For Master Gardeners, we bring you research-based information that we've been taught, and that's something that I just really haven't been taught, so I don't go down that path. Yeah, I plant everything with everything, and if it works, it works. Yeah. Any other questions?
How about herbs?
Herbs are great. Yeah.
So you can plant them anytime.
That would go back to the planting chart. So basil is like a warm season. It's funny though, things like cilantro are actually better in a cool season. Cilantro grows great, which is a bummer because you want to have cilantro for your salsa, but it grows best in the winter. It actually bolt. So look at the chart and see for each one what grows well. Thyme is really year round. Oregano is year round. Chives are year round. Sage is year round. So a lot of them are perennial bushes that do great all year round in California because it's so. Yeah, mint is year round. Mint should never be planted in anything but a container on cement. Mint is an incredible invasive. Yes, all of us know that. Mint is like, remember I said something was the devil. Mint is the other devil. It's lovely and it smells great. I have never planted mint, and I have it in all of my beds from my neighbors because every one of my neighbors planted it on their side, and I water on my side, so it all grows into my beds. It's really hard to get rid of. Yeah, so always in a container on cement, and make sure there's no cracks or crevices where it can find any dirt, because it sends a taproot down and it just looks for dirt and then it takes off. It's incredible stuff. It's like bamboo. Don't ever plant bamboo. Bamboo is beautiful in tropical rainforest, but it does not belong in your backyard. Yeah, my other neighbor who I adore, her mother loved bamboo and planted it all through her yard. And bless her soul, she has been digging that stuff out by hand. I had guys out on my fence line. I took out my fence, put in a new fence in, but before we had bamboo under it, they had jackhammers out there for a day.
They root out
It would.
6 feet off
It's insane. I have them everywhere. Yeah. So yeah, bamboo and mint. Mint is less invasive than bamboo, but yeah, really, really bad. Yeah. But lots of other great herbs that you can grow year round. Alrighty, I think we need to do our drawing. Yes? What are we doing? So we're pulling 2 numbers. Do you guys also have your numbers? Yeah? Okay, what are we doing first?
They can pick whichever one, whoever gets first.
Whoever gets first. One of them is a gold medal tomato. And do you want me to read it to you? You can decide, or you can come look. I need my glasses to read it to you. Gold medal tomato, indeterminate 90 days. See, it tells you when it's going to bear fruit. Large golden yellow fruit, streaked red, firm and smooth. Very little acid, very sweet. Taste test winner. Ooh. That is a good tomato. That's a good. It means, sometimes we have taste tests. I don't know if it means our taste test or somebody else's, but it won some kind of a taste test. And then this one is Marconi red. Marconi is not a bell, right? I don't think Marconi is a bell. It's not a hot, it's a mild, or not mild. It's a sweet pepper. It's red, and it's yeah. Well, it's Marconi, so yeah, it's probably Italian. So it's like shaped like a horn instead of a bell. Like it's not a bell, but sweet. So they're both not hot. Yeah. Oh, I was going to pull a number. I think I did. Okay. Is that a 6? 6, which looks like that. Ooh, yeah. Yay! Come on up and pick what you want. Do you want the tomato or the pepper? Pepper. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, 8. Aww. So gentleman, the winner?
I kind of thought I was gonna win.
Oh, no. Well, congratulations. And thank you guys for coming. And if you have any questions while I'm packing up, I'm fine to answer. Thank you guys. Thank you.